it's been pretty cloudy lately. Plus, our fridge is acting up, so we've had to run our fridge generator, which eats the gas up faster.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But yes, it's also been cloudy lately, which has not helped. It's mainly the fridge, though. That thing's a gas guzzler. Which is why we normally run on propane, but the propane's got a leak in it.
That's not cool.
No, it's not. Because now we have to replace the copper piping that we use on it.
Yep. And when it comes to copper, it's never an easy 1, 2, 3 fix.
No. So that's exciting news about Twitch lowering the requirements for a partner. Like literally, we get one more follower, we've made our community affiliate. We're one follower away from affiliate.
When did they change that?
A couple days ago, I think. Yeah, the requirements now is you have to reach 25 followers, stream for 4 hours in a week, stream on 4 different days in a week, and reach an average of 3 viewers on 4 different days. We've already met those first 3. We just need one more follower, and we're good. Yeah, that's the face I made.
You have got to be flipping. I've been worried about getting us to 50.
Nope, I'm stone cold serious.
Here comes trouble, putting on a show. Like a domino, I fall. Another bottle, don't know what to say. Send me on my way to you. I know you're all that I want, but I don't even know you. Did you notice? I saw you over there, looking like a heartbreaker. I know you're all that I want, but I don't even know your name. So don't go, leave me lonely. I'll show you another way. And you say it's a one-night thing, but I want something more than that. So don't go, leave me lonely. I'll show you another way. So don't go, leave me lonely. I'll show you another way.
I just got my first paycheck. What do I do now?
We can help with that.
I won my first tournament. So now what?
You can deposit that check with the First Source mobile app.
Now that I've got endorsement deals, should I make this business official?
We can find a small business loan that works for you.
FirstSource.com. Member FDIC.
This playlist features all the latest anime openings in English. Click the listen right here on Spotify.
You'll get more than you expect with McValue at McDonald's. Like deals on your late night go-tos when the party goes till dawn. And savings on their faves. So date night always passes the vibe check. Plus, when the fam shows up for the weekend, you can show out for breakfast.
Order ahead in the app and get 20% off any order of $5 or more. Offer valid for a limited time at participating McDonald's. Valid one time per day. Excludes tax. Must opt into rewards. Visit McD app for details.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go. my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. I wanna taste your content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is the one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption, breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Just wanna be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Count 'em like the four-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daydreams. Got dirty little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.
We love to binge watch.
And now with Lake City Bank Digital, we binge watch our money.
It has action.
Look, we can finally afford those obedience classes.
Live.
Hey, hey! How's everybody doing tonight? Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Okay. Well, Trisha answered your question, so yes, they can hear us. Can we hear Izzy? Because I made some more changes in the background.
I can hear you.
Well, yes, because we're backstage together, so that's where. Yes! Woo!
Okay, Izzy. Okay. That is in my ear.
I apologize. Look, it was just so really weird because I had microphone and video. It was different for me
Yeah.
because I was running on the Hold My Pen, which was doing the streaming. And now that we've made some changes, I couldn't undo it. So we've reset everything. And hopefully moving forward, everything will be chef's kiss.
I get it. I'm also just giving you shit because I missed you.
Look, it's like we don't get to see each other nearly as much as we used to.
Used to?
That's
Yeah.
because things happen. Time differences. Let's face it, not everybody's got reliable. I would say sun, so they can keep things running.
Yep. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I got a little blurry, I think.
Nope.
Oh, you look great.
Well, not my typical blurry.
Yeah.
I had to bring my video quality down because I was getting frozen.
Gotcha.
Glitching. Yeah, and it says performance settings have been enabled and we are monitoring your session's performance. Yeah. But I did remember to turn off the optimize my settings.
That was what was killing your video stream.
Mm-hmm. But even on video quality. There we go. Okay. Hold my pen, Promptcast. Boss lady, take it away.
What, 1 second, boss lady's typing. I only got 2 more. Just hold the taters. And I'm fighting with the lovely grid because it kept trying to say that it was Friday. It's like, it's not Friday.
Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow. Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
One additional test.
Which?
Okay. I didn't glitch out. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Chat. Fantastic.
Trisha says I'll get.
And did you hear the crowd cheering?
No.
I didn't.
I didn't.
But hopefully they did.
No. You backstage people don't. And Trisha says, yes, they heard the crowd cheering. Okay.
Everybody, it is 8:22, and you know what time it is. It is time for the Hold My Pen Promptcast. I am your host, Julie DeFisher, author of Destined for More, the Four Queens for Four Kings series, the Double Edge series, Crossroads, and the soon-to-be coming Destin Chronicles. Dun, dun, dun. My lovely co-host, the woman, the myth, the mother flippin' legend that keeps us running, Izzy Cross.
With my Dr. Pepper.
With her Dr. Pepper. And then, of course, directly below me, We have C.R. McCormick, author of the Dolan Syndicate series, and soon to come a whole lot of other stuff because let's face it, there's a lot going on in that brain. A lot of which have been read out on this show. Not tonight though, but will be soon again.
Yeah.
And then our lovely new coming co-host filling in for one PA Power, Miss Kesh Butler in the flesh. Of course, she was in the flesh last week, but she was in the flesh in the background of Izzy's. She's actually in her own box this week.
She's got her own box this week.
I can
So,
tell that I have been hanging out with 20-year-olds way too much because my brain went somewhere completely different.
Oh, mine went there too. Don't worry.
what did I miss?
Dirty thoughts.
I'll
You're good.
explain later.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We'll discord that one. We'll put a pin in it. But to start off the night, we have tons, and I do mean tons, of really good authors coming in this evening. A lot of them that we're waiting on. We're starting off tonight strong with our anonymous for the third week in a row. Third week in a row, we've got this anonymous person that's been doing the thing.
Having us
But
on the edge of
before
our
we
seats.
Yeah, on the edge of our seats, waiting on bated breath for the next installment of their story. But I also wanted to say that we were very, very close to 11,000 words this week. 10,983 words. We, of course, if you wait to the end of the show, like always, we will give you who ranked where this week and everything like that, because that's what we do. Also, if you wait to the end of the show, you'll get the dice roll and get to vote on next week's. Well, actually, it wouldn't be next week's. You get 2 weeks on this week because next week we will literally be in Green Bay, Wisconsin at Packing the Readers. So if you happen to be in the area, want to be in the area, need to be in the area, come find us at the Kai Convention Center. I think that's what the name of it. The Kai Convention Center. It's attached to or right in the same complex as the Hyatt Regency Hotel. For those in the area, you know, if you know, you know. And that's where we're going to be. Literally, I think we're like 5 miles from Lambeau Field. You're not going to be able to miss us. And let's face it, with my loud ass mouth, nobody's going to miss me or lose me. I said it
Speaking of
myself.
loud ass mouth, for those viewing at home, on the back end in the programming, Julie's volume level is purposely lower than all of ours.
And I still come
And
in
she's
higher.
still loud and clear. So you won't be able to miss us.
No, not at all. I have a thing about protecting my voice. Also, I am on a panel for Packing the Readers on Saturday afternoon at 10 o'clock. Mental health and characters. Yeah, I think they pegged that one correctly. So, without further ado, let's jump into this week's writing prompt, which was
to use this dialogue, obviously adjusting it for your tone, your story, all the good things. How exactly did you think that having an affair would help our marriage? That's a very good question. Let's see how our prompters answered that question this week. So again, as Julie said, this is our anonymous, our third anonymous author since the beginning of the show. And this is chapter 6, Unspoken Claims. The sun hadn't yet risen when Clary stirred. Warmth pressed against her chest, and Ava's small weight curled into her chest. For a moment, she could pretend everything was normal. No haunted dreams, no strange houses, no man with fire in his eyes. But normal was a ghost now. Anthony hadn't moved all night. He sat propped against the headboard, breath slow and steady, one arm draped protectively across Ava. His sweatpants were wrinkled where he had slept in an awkward position. Dark stubble had crept in along his jaw as worry lines danced on his face. The man looked like hell, and he'd never looked better. Clary carefully slid out from under Ava's arm and padded toward the in-suite bathroom. Splashing cold water on her face did nothing to shake the memory of her daughter's voice. He had eyes like fire. No, like cooked cherries. The image of dark, mushy cherries caused a wave of nausea to hit her stomach. When she returned, Anthony was already awake. "You okay?" he asked, voice rough with sleep. Clary nodded, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Yeah, just haunted." Anthony stood, stretching. "I've got someone coming this morning. Someone who might be able to help." Clary narrowed her eyes. "Help? How?" He hesitated. "He's not exactly a doctor, more like a specialist in things people don't like to talk about in daylight." Clary's heart skipped. "What kind of things?" Anthony glanced toward Ava, still sleeping. "The kind that don't stay in nightmares. But enough of that for now. Let's go have some breakfast. I will go down and tell the cooks to start cooking. What does the little one like?" "French toast if it's not too much."
Ow! The horror!
For those who are joining us for the very first time or coming across this video later, yeah, we are all kind of traumatized by French toast. Dahlia. Moving on. Moving on. Clary bit into her bottom lip, looking up to meet Anthony's gaze. The house felt strange that morning, too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Anthony had already walked into the closet and back out in a pair of shorts and a tank top. By the time Clary and Ava reached the dining room, the long table was already set, sunlight filtering through gauzy curtains. Silver cutlery gleamed against white porcelain, and the faint scent of baked bread and spiced sausage wafted in from the kitchen. Ava settled into her chair and immediately reached for her crayons and sketch pad, humming to herself. Clary raised a brow. "Let me guess. Anthony again?" The maid passing by smiled faintly. "He said she might want to draw something before breakfast." Clary sat down beside her daughter, who had already begun coloring with intense focus. Clary sat beside her, eyeing Anthony as he poured coffee. He handed he handed her a cup with a quiet "morning," then sat across from them. He gave Clary a brief nod, eyes scanning Ava first. "Morning." "Sleep well?" Clary asked. He just said, "Well enough," and took a seat across from them. The conversation was light at first, murmured thanks to the kitchen help, casual observations about the weather. Clary noticed Anthony kept one ear tuned toward the hallway. Before they could speak, the heavy front door opened. One of the security men strode in, boots thudding with urgency. His expression was grim. He leaned in close to Anthony, whispering something Clary couldn't catch. Anthony's expression darkened. "Where?" "North fence, just outside the perimeter." Anthony's jaw clenched. "Anyone see who?" "No one, but—" The man hesitated, then reached into his coat and pulled something from a small black bag. A photograph. He handed it to Anthony. Clary couldn't see it, but the color drained from Anthony's face. "What is it?" Clary asked, her voice tight. Anthony didn't answer right away. He slid the photo face down across the table. "It's nothing you need to worry about. Just a message," he said tightly. "Something Symbolic. Clary didn't believe that for a second. Anthony's eyes flicked to Ava, who was now scribbling furiously with a red crayon. She'd drawn a figure again, tall, all shadow, with glowing red eyes, around it jagged lines that might have been teeth. Or flames. Or both. She's drawing him again, Clary murmured. Anthony looked, then met Clary's gaze with something that wasn't fear, but close. He's getting bolder. They finished breakfast in tense silence. When Ava finished her drawing, she held it up proudly. Look, Mommy, he's at the gate now. Clary's blood ran cold. Anthony stood abruptly, planting a kiss on Ava's hair without thinking. I've got to check in with someone, Bunny. You and your mom are going to explore a little, yeah? Anthony turned to Clary. I'm going to the gym. Seth's waiting. My home is secure and we have nothing to worry about. He looked at Clary. You should stretch your legs. Take a walk around the estate. Stay close to the house. Third floor has a library, and I had the staff pick up some supplies for Ava last night. Then he was gone. Ava nodded seriously. Clary looked up at him. Where exactly are you going? He smirked faintly. My gym. Got to keep the monsters scared, right? Before she could ask what that meant, he disappeared down a long hallway. Curious, and still rattled from the morning, Clary wandered with Ava for a while until a maid offered to read to the child in the sunroom. Clary accepted with a quiet thanks and then turned back down the hall Anthony had gone through. The door at the end was slightly ajar. Voices echoed faintly from inside, low and rhythmic, punctuated by the sound of fists striking padded leather. The gym was vast, high ceilinged, filled with punching bags, mats, and gleaming equipment. In the center of the room, Anthony moved like liquid fury. Shirtless, his skin slick with sweat, every line of muscle flexing and shifting as he sparred with a younger man. Clary froze. Anthony's back rippled as he twisted, then lunged, driving the man, Seth, she thought she heard, back with an effortless flip. The impact shook the floor. She's got no idea, does she? Seth grunted, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. No, Anthony growled. Joseph kept her out of it. Always kept her inside on full moons. Always made sure she didn't see. Seth sat up, breathing hard. What about now? Anthony cracked his neck and loomed over him, voice colder. Now she doesn't leave my side. She's under our protection. Period. With that, he grabbed Seth by the wrist, yanked him upright, and slammed him to the mat again in one fluid move. Poor Seth. Let me just time out here. Poor Seth. Like,
he's just getting tossed around like a rag doll.
Like, dude, take it out on somebody who deserves it, not your buddy. Okay, okay.
I mean, unless, he signed up to be the sparring partner, and then, he
kind of did, but that's overkill. Helping him up and then, like.
Yeah, that's a little.
Anthony, we're going to have a conversation about emotional maturity and taking things out on people who don't deserve them. Okay, anyway. Clary stepped back, heart hammering. The floor creaked beneath her heel. Anthony's head snapped up, his eyes flicked toward the hallway, then narrowed. He sniffed the air once. Something flickered in his gaze, something sharp and primal. Lemongrass. Inside his head, something restless stirred, a pacing awareness. His thoughts fractured. Anthony's jaw tightened, chest still rising and falling from the workout. For a long moment, he didn't move, then finally called out, voice deceptively calm. Enjoying the show, Clary? Clary stepped into the gym, the heat of the space wrapping around her like a second skin. She hesitated near the threshold, eyes drawn, against her will, to the way Anthony's muscles flexed as he wiped sweat from his brow and chest with a towel. I didn't mean to interrupt, she stammered, cheeks coloring as she looked anywhere but directly at him. Anthony's gaze swept over her slowly, his breath still coming steady from the fight. You didn't, he said simply, tossing the towel aside. Clary's eyes flicked briefly to Seth, who offered her a nod, then back to Anthony. Well, he said, stepping toward her, it appears you and little Ava will be staying with me longer than we thought. Clary blinked. What? Why? Seth, Anthony continued without answering her. Shower. Then take Clary shopping. She'll need clothes. For herself and for Ava. Clary shook her head. No, that's not necessary. We'll be fine with what we have. Anthony gave her a look, one that spoke louder than any raised voice. A look that said, don't argue with me. She sighed. Fine. The drive into town was uneventful, though Seth kept a watchful eye on every passing vehicle. He didn't talk much, just gave her space, occasionally nodding toward a shop or offering a silent hand when she needed help loading a garment pile into her arms. It was during a lull, between a boutique and the next stop, that everything fell apart. Clary had just stepped out of the changing room, her arms full of neatly folded selections, when a hand clamped around her wrist and yanked her hard to the side. She barely had time to cry out before she was pulled into a shadowed alcove near the store's back exit. Clary, a cold voice hissed. You think you can run from me? Her stomach turned. Joseph. He was thinner than she remembered, eyes bloodshot, suit wrinkled like he'd slept in it. We are married, he snapped, breath hot and sour. You belong to me. Clary ripped her arm free. How exactly? She said, voice trembling but sharp. Did you think that having an affair would help our marriage? Joseph's face twisted. You bitch, he spat. You'll pay for that. His hand came up, fast and violent, but he never made contact. Seth appeared like a shadow between them, grabbing Joseph mid-swing. In one swift motion, he slammed him face first onto the polished floor, the air leaving Joseph's lungs in a sharp wheeze. Clary gasped, stepping back. Seth crouched, his mouth near Joseph's ear, and bared his teeth. Whatever he whispered was lost to her, but not to Joseph, whose face drained of all color. He began to tremble. Seth stood slowly, then drove a brutal kick into Joseph's ribs, sending him crumpling with a ragged groan. He turned to Clary, expression unreadable. Let's go. Gripping her gently, but firmly by the arm, he guided her out of the store without another word. Behind them, customers stared, slack-jawed. They reached the car waiting by the curb. Clary, Seth said, opening the door for her, we'll have the clothes you picked sent to the house. Please get in. The driver will take you home. She paused. Wait, what about you? Seth glanced toward the store, then back at her. Don't worry. I've got work to do here. I'll return home soon enough. With that, he closed the car door. The vehicle pulled away just as the sound of shattering glass and a man's agonized screams echoed from inside the boutique. Clary stared straight ahead, heart pounding, her fingers clutching the edge of her seat. Something told her this was only the beginning. The silence of the car ride stretched, thick and heavy, wrapping around Clary like a second skin. Her fingers drummed nervously against her knee. Outside, the city blurred past. Then a sharp ring shattered the quiet. The car's embedded console lit up with an incoming call. The driver tapped a button. Call for you, ma'am. Clary leaned forward as Anthony's voice burst through the speakers, tight and edged with fury. Clary! Relief flooded her. Anthony? Yes. God, Clary, Seth told me what happened. I'm so sorry. I didn't know he'd get close enough. I thought we had enough eyes on you. His voice cracked just slightly, enough to show the depth beneath the control. I won't make that mistake again. She swallowed hard, gripping the edge of the leather seat. I'm okay. Seth handled it. Anthony exhaled, but it wasn't relief, more like rage cooled to steel. From now on, you stay by my side. No more separate outings, no more gaps in coverage. He should have never laid a finger on you. Clary opened her mouth to argue, then closed it again. There was something in his voice, an edge of protectiveness that ran too deep for her to fight. All right, she said quietly. Okay. There was silence for a beat on the other end. Then his voice, low, serious. I'll be waiting when you get back. We'll talk more then. The line went dead. Clary leaned back in her seat, heart pounding, not just from the adrenaline, but from something else. Something she couldn't name yet. Because the way Anthony had said my side didn't sound like protection alone. It sounded like possession. And for reasons she wasn't ready to admit, the thought didn't scare her. It thrilled her. Dun, dun, dun.
This writer is anonymous. We don't know who this is.
Yes, this is anonymous.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. All I gotta say is,
hey, I heard that one.
Now I did get lost there for just a half a second trying to figure out because the different girl characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had a moment where I'm like, okay, no, that's that one, no, that's that one. So, but still, like literally, but still.
and of course there was some rough draft things in there, like he left, and then she talked to him, and then he left again. But those are things that happen in rough drafts, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what this is. We're basically a glorified alpha reading team, right? We're sharing these things out with the world. You get to gauge reactions to your writing, and did that fall flat? Was that kind of, should I lean more into this because people were reacting to this and this? Um, that's what we do here. So,
Focus group.
Focus group. Yes, I very much like that as opposed to alpha readers. Focus groups. Yes, we're a live video focus group. And commenters, prompters.
Commentary.
Yes, but anonymous number 3 has some explaining to do when they finally reveal themselves and we get more of this, because I mean, we all know what's happening, right? We know this is Shifter, we know this is Werewolf. We can see the writing on the wall.
You can taste
But
it.
I absolutely love the way it's unfolding. We're learning about whatever this werewolf world is in bits and pieces. And I'm really enjoying the way this person is doing that. It's not taking for granted that we know anything. It's feeding it. I like it. I like it. They got some explaining to do, but I like it. Now, for another person that's going to have a lot of explaining to do, who is not here to defend themselves, next up is PA Power with another entry into Heart of Stone, the lovely gargoyle fantasy romance that we got going. And we all thought Scott was a little corny and a little cheesy. And then he redeemed himself. And we kind of like him. So let's see what else we got. PA Power, who knows that 3 of us are going to see him.
He's down in the chat right now.
In 5 days. Oh, yeah. No. I don't think, brother. I know. Chapter 13. Shadows in the Hall. Amanda stuffed her notebook into her satchel, the corner of a page poking out like an unspoken question. Her thoughts were still reeling from the strange glow she'd seen in her palm earlier that morning. Faint, like moonlight behind fog, but unmistakable. The hallway outside Professor Lynn's classroom buzzed with the shuffle of students switching classes. She adjusted her bag on her shoulder and slipped into the current. Her head bowed slightly as if retreating into herself would help her make sense of what was happening. As she rounded the corner by the administrative offices, a sharp voice cut through the chatter and froze her in place. How exactly did you think having an affair would help our marriage? The woman's voice was brittle with rage, like shattered glass barely holding together. Amanda slowed, her gaze flicking toward the half open door of the dean's office. Inside, she could make out a tall woman with streaks of silver in her black hair, her hands clenched at her sides. Her voice rang with more than anger. It held heartbreak and something wounded but dangerous. "Let's not fight," came a calmer male voice, measured, practiced, maybe even frightened. "We have a daughter. We come from a very particular family line. We will not allow this inconsequential indiscretion to tarnish the family." "Inconsequential indiscretion?" Her shrill voice rang out. Amanda stepped back, instinctively pressing herself against the wall. Her heart beat a little faster. She didn't recognize the woman, but the man, that was definitely Dean Ravensdale. The woman snapped something back, but Amanda didn't catch it, only the icy silence that followed. Then footsteps. Amanda panicked and turned on her heel, nearly tripping over her own feet as she fled the scene, her thoughts spinning. A daughter, a particular family line. The words clung to her like smoke. She didn't know why, but something about the exchange made her stomach twist. Something about the way the dean had spoken, as if lineage was everything. Amanda quickened her pace. Her next class was in the old arts building, but suddenly she wasn't sure she'd be able to focus at all, not with the lingering question echoing in her mind. Whose daughter were they talking about? Amanda sat in the back corner of the classroom, the farthest seat from the professor's podium, as she always did. She twirled her necklace absent-mindedly between her fingers, its cool metal grounding her in the middle of her spiraling thoughts. The voices from the dean's office still echoed in her head. A daughter, a family line. She barely registered the scrape of the chair beside her until a figure leaned in close, breath brushing the shell of her ear. "The trash needs to be taken out," the girl whispered. "Those who aren't worthy of the school should just save face and leave." Amanda blinked, her body stiffening as she turned to face the girl. Her heart skipped. The resemblance was uncanny. She looked just like Bethany. The same sharp cheekbones, the same smug tilt to her mouth. "Who the hell are you?" Amanda asked, brow furrowed. The girl rolled her eyes and gave a dismissive flick of her hair. "What does it matter, peasant? But if it helps," she sighed, bored already. "Riley, the dean's my dad." She winked. "And just like that, I get what I want." Before Amanda could react, Riley yanked her bag from under the desk and flipped it upside down. Books, pens, folded notes, and Amanda's journal spilled across the floor. Riley laughed, a loud, mocking sound that turned heads, then knelt down to examine the mess. Her smile faltered when her fingers grazed the edge of Amanda's old journal, its leather cover etched with faded symbols. "Oh," Riley murmured, intrigued. Her hand moved toward it. Before she could touch it, a pair of hands swept in and snatched the journal up. Riley looked up, her eyes locked with Scott's. "Hello, handsome," she said with a slow, predatory grin. Scott scoffed and held the journal out to Amanda without looking at Riley. "Here you go," he said gently. Riley pouted. "No, that's my book now, stud. Hand it over." She frantically reached out, grasping at air. Scott turned his gaze on her, flat, unimpressed. "Riley, piss off. You're no better than your half sister. Both of you could fall off the moors and not a soul would miss you." He turned back
When
to
will stop?
Amanda. "Scott, Scott, 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 Scott." He turned back to Amanda, his voice lowering. "I know this book belongs to you and your family," handing the book over to her with a smile dancing on his lips. Riley's smile dropped. Amanda stared between them, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Her family? Her book? Does anyone in her family have two bits to rub together? Riley twisted from side to side, lips pouting as she twirled a strand of hair around her finger. Come now, Scott. No need to be so grumpy. I know my sister, well, half sister, can be a total pain, but don't take it out on me. I still think you and I would make the perfect couple.
Bitch, please.
Both of them are hot to trot for to take a ride on the Scott Worley gig. Good God!
Is that proof they're sisters?
Must be.
Yeah, I'm with Trisha. Gag.
Yeah.
Gag.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott didn't even flinch. If you want people to see you differently than her, then be better than her. Quit picking on anyone you think is beneath you. Because if you have to act like you're above someone, you need to ask yourself, are you really above them? His eyes narrowed. Believe it or not, the world doesn't give two shits about your opinion. Your sister's opinion, not even your father's opinion counts. Riley's pout faltered for a split second before she crossed her arms, huffing dramatically. Scott, I will warn you now. It's better to know who you are speaking to and where she falls in all of this. Amanda quietly finished gathering her things, zipping her backpack shut with calm precision. She slung it over one shoulder and stood, her eyes flicking briefly to Scott in silent gratitude. Now, Riley, Amanda said coolly, her voice low and steady, I'm going to ask this once, and only once. What's that? Riley purred, reaching towards Scott with faux innocence. Before her fingers could brush his arm, a hand shot out, slapping hers away with a loud crack. Scott belongs to me, Amanda snapped, stepping forward. Her eyes burned with a sudden, unnatural glow, bright and possessive, like a warning flame. He is mine. Gasps echoed from a few nearby desks. Chairs creaked as the class turned to look. In your family, Amanda continued, her voice dropping into a cold, razor sharp tone, the women seem to have trouble keeping their hands and their legs to themselves, always grasping for men who don't belong to them. Riley's jaw fell open, her cheeks flushed red with shock and fury. Amanda stood firm, now planted squarely between Riley and Scott like a barrier forged from ice and fury. Scott blinked, then let out a small laugh, scratching the back of his neck as a faint blush crept up his cheeks. Well, damn, he said with a smirk. And they say chivalry is dead. Look at this. A lady defending my honor and keeping me pure. He glanced around at the staring students and added, this one's a keeper. Amanda didn't look away from Riley. She simply reached back and found Scott's hand, threading her fingers through his with quiet certainty. Riley glared at their joyed hands as if they burned her eyes, but for once, she had no clever retort. Before Riley could recover or hurl a comeback, the classroom door swung open with forceful authority. The dean stepped in, eyes narrowing as he took in the scattered students, the tension in the air, and the unmistakable way Amanda stood protectively in front of Scott. What exactly is going on here? He demanded, voice booming. Riley immediately morphed into the picture of innocence. Daddy, she said sweetly, they were being mean to me again. Amanda threatened me and Scott. The dean raised a hand. Enough. I told you before while at school it is Dean and not Daddy. He turned to Amanda and Scott, his gaze firm and disapproving. I don't know what this display is supposed to be, but I won't tolerate bullying or public spectacle in my institution. Both of you, Amanda, Scott, you'll sit on opposite sides of the classroom. And Riley, he motioned toward the desk next to Scott's. You'll sit here. Scott groaned audibly. Amanda's expression snapped from stunned to livid. Like hell, she will sit next to him and try to seduce him. Amanda spat, her voice sharp enough to slice through stone. Gasps rang out through the room, but Amanda didn't flinch. The dean blinked, clearly not used to being challenged. Excuse me? You heard me, Amanda growled, eyes glowing faintly again. If you care about preserving the reputation of this institution, You might want to stop coddling your daughters and start asking why the people they target always end up humiliated. Scott placed a calming hand on Amanda's shoulder, but the look on his face showed just how much he agreed. The dean's eyes narrowed. "Watch your tone, young lady," he barked. "You may think you're untouchable, but I don't care who your parents are. Riley is my daughter, and I will not allow you to bully her just because she happens to be sitting near a boy you like." "She's harassing me," Amanda said calmly, though the tremble in her hands betrayed her fury. "She dumped my bag on the floor," she added, louder. "I saw it too," Scott said, stepping forward. But the dean dismissed him with a wave. "I'm not interested in petty squabbles. Amanda, Scott, separate. Riley, take your seat next to him." Riley smirked,
Bitch,
flipping her hair
please.
and sauntering towards Scott's desk. That's when it happened. Amanda took a breath, then another. Her spine straightened, shoulders squared, her fingers relaxed at her sides. Slowly, something ancient and commanding rolled through her posture like thunderclouds gathering on a horizon. And when she spoke, it was not her voice. It was deeper, older, rich with authority and venom that stung like ice. "I have warned you once." The air shifted. Desks creaked. Students stilled. Everyone turned to look at Amanda. No, Amelia. Only they did not know Amelia. Her eyes shimmered with an otherworldly glow as she took a single, deliberate step forward. "You will leave us alone," Amelia said, voice echoing with a power that rattled the windows. "You think your bloodline gives you dominion here? That your shallow ties to the school entitle you to hurt those beneath you?" The dean's mouth opened, but no words came out. Amelia's voice hardened. "You and your daughters have been given too much leash." Riley flinched. Her smirk dissolved instantly. "Bethany and Riley are no longer to speak to Scott, nor are they to give me any grief. If they do, consequences will follow." The classroom sat in stunned silence as if even the air held its breath. Then Amelia blinked, and Amanda staggered slightly, catching herself against her desk. Her breath came fast, her pupils slowly fading back to normal. Scott was by her side in an instant. "Amanda?" She looked up at him and nodded once, steady again, taller, stronger. But in her mind, Amelia's presence lingered, silent now, but watchful, waiting. "I hope I was not overstepping, but no one bullies my family." Amelia's voice echoed as a whisper in Amanda's head before it faded to nothing. Scott wrapped his arm around Amanda. "Amanda, let's just go. You look like you're about to pass out." The dean stood there, his mouth agape like a fish on dry land, gasping for air. Slowly, he turned to Riley. "Leave them alone. I don't know why, but something tells me it would be in I mean, our best interest to just leave those two alone." Turning on his heels, he strode out of the classroom, heading to his office, taking his suit jacket off to cover himself, to hide the fact his pants were soaking wet.
That's fantastic.
Patrick!
Someone got the piss scared out of them. Literally.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done. What? I might have to give you a pat on the back for that one in 5 days.
Oh my god.
Ha 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 ha.
Mhm. Unfortunately, it looks like we had to lose Shar. She did have some solar issues. So, uno momento. My baby bottle is empty.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. We got like a screaming raccoon down in the comments. I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel you. I fucking feel you.
Yeah. I
I
hope.
hope Xmas. Huh?
What?
Do what, Mama?
I don't understand.
I don't either. That's why I was like, huh? What? I'm Trisha. Oh.
Oh,
Oh, they need the fucking. Okay.
okay. I missed her comment or her
I
question. So,
it got like but boomed, so I'm like, oh, my bad. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully around Christmas. We're not sure if we're gonna get Jed this year or not, but I know that's something he's definitely working toward. Uh, but I feel like I'm gonna come in under the bar this week.
why do you feel that?
Okay, so far with the anonymous and Patrick, we've had two like really hard hitting stories right off the bat.
Yeah.
And of course, up next is Stavros. Uh, I think this is a new work by her. Um, so yeah, do we have? Nope. Okay. I was looking to see if we had like any trigger warnings or anything like that. Nothing. So we've got that coming in. Uh, and it's a lot. Like we got Stavros up next. We've got uh, then we got Trisha, and this week is one of Trisha's longer submissions. So let's see how badly she rips her heart out. And then it's you, and then it's me, and then we're ending the night with Dahlia.
Emotional damage.
Yes, I added that sound effect just for Trisha. Because she leaves us with emotional damage. Oh, well, hello there, Kira. Hi, baby. And I was too busy this week rearranging my office to give me more room and sorting and whatnot. So I did not write. And I would not have come close to the. Oh, all right.
I mean, we're
Stop.
gonna have some like really hard acts to follow this week. So it's like I was just telling Keisha, I was like, I think I'm gonna come in under the bar this week.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to make it either.
I don't see that at all because I've seen your writing and I've witnessed the catastrophic uh mic drops that you've literally left us on. So I'm like, kind of don't. But anywho, on with the show.
On with the show. Next, SP Stavros. Here we go. There's only 3 things in life that truly matter: health, vampires, and God. Vampires being the term she was misunderstood for multiple times. Leala had a way of talking that didn't fit the modern speech. She had moved away from it mostly, but when she freshly entered a new body, it came back like Leala hadn't tried to leave her past behind her. An ache throbbed in her shoulder. The room around her was covered in red candles, stained grooves in the ground, and robed people chanting under their breath. She remembered the last place where she had been until a knife stabbed into her back from behind a forest. She had been hiking Appalachian forests. Most people think the hiking trails in that forest are full of the undead or creatures that want to take your soul. In some ways, they were right, but it didn't apply the same way to Leala. Those creatures couldn't take her soul. Her bloodline couldn't be soul harvested. Information flooded her mind of her past life. Leala groaned from pain. Just do as I say and no one gets hurt. A ragged voice came from the robed, culty looking people. Leala let out a low, garbled laugh. The figure walked forward, his arms spread out like a preacher comforting the masses. All we ask is for your devil like abilities to surrender. The robed figure spoke like a father comforting a child. If it wasn't for the active pain of a knife cutting into her arm, Leala would have rolled her eyes. She went to kick out her leg, only for it to fall short because of the cuff on her ankle. Two robed people came to tighten the cuffs when one fell off with the fiddling just as her leg tried to kick up one more. It flung up and contacted with a face. A female voice yelped as she fell backward, knocking over several others, resulting in one becoming impaled on a stake mounted to the ground. Well, that didn't end the way I expected. At least nobody important died. Leala attempted to shrug before glancing back at their leader. Only one of devil like abilities would fight so much. Give up your soul for the good of God, their robed leader said. She had seen numerous cults of God, but this one took the cake. This fanaticism went as far back as the Salem witch trials. Even back then, the cults were obsessed with their own version of God, stubborn in their own twisted version of truth. What devil like abilities do you think I have? Leala sighed. The leader walked around and held a knife over her head. We have watched the possession of dead bodies you have done, devil. Multiple spoke at once, sounding like an eerie, a dysphonic disorder. Exactly how would you be able to track such a thing? She secretly, seriously wanted to know. Even she had a hard time tracking it. How was she supposed to know who she would end up being next? Before she had been a Brittany, the time before a Talia, but down to the soul she knew she was Leala. You are not the only one with wicked abilities, Lilith, the cutest preacher proclaimed. Then a thumping came from the left. A doorway opened and a chained woman fought the robed people shoving her in. This is a satanic witch. She speaks curses and despair into people's lives. She could see you change. Leala squinted to attempt seeing her face in the darkness, only to be met with failure. The woman's chain rattled as she fought off the hands, muffled sounds coming from her mouth. Leala watched in silence as the preacher turned to his disciples. Oh, no, mister. Giving them so much attention already? How could you think an affair would help our marriage? Leala spoke in a deadpanned, syrupy, sweet tone. The preacher's hand clenched. She fought against a smirk, knowing she was getting to him. My disciples, this possessed woman has been living a sinful life until now, but we shall pour the seed of God into her so she may be made anew. We shall exonerate her poor soul and remove the evil from within. Let us begin. The robed people circled her with a cup of white, oily substance. I don't want to have God's baby. Leala's noise crinkled in disgust at the oily substance poured on her forehead, chest, and hips. It felt slick, hot, and cold with a slimy afterthought. The preacher reached over and tugged her hair into a painful grasp. You shall speak no more, demon. You only wish to sully the name of our master. He spat in her face before letting go so fast her head slammed down onto the table. Then a robed figure shoved something tasting of dust, mildew, and cotton into her mouth. Leala glanced at the proclaimed witch one more time before she felt the lull of sleep meeting her eyes. her body more heavy than any other time she had fallen asleep. The robed figures chanting quickened as she faded to black. I'm thoroughly confused. But again, rough drafts. I'm confused.
It's got potential. Um, Definitely needs some workarounds, and build the story out a little bit more. But again, rough draft. Everything's rough draft. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely with Izzy on this one. Very, very much confusion. Very much the what the hell is going on here? I mean,
Whiskey
I
Tango
kind of get where
Foxtrot.
we're going on with it. Like they're they're
They're exercising someone. That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
yes,
Yep.
but time frame wise is where I'm running
Yep.
into the issue. Like it would again, it was only like 970 something words.
It's a
Yeah.
concept. It's a concept that, as more is revealed, could be something. Yeah. I'm still going to say Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, but yeah.
Okay, moving right along.
Yes,
Up
because we have about 45 minutes left and still a bunch. So,
yep.
okay. Okay,
Sure.
my eyes skipped down. Gotcha. Gotcha. My eyes jumped down on Trisha's, and already I was trying to see if it was more Ann Smith. So, just
Mm.
yeah, I see that. I see that, Trisha. Okay, here we go. Trisha Jones, our very first prompter, our oldest prompter fan, who likes to rip our souls out and give us
Emotional damage.
I was standing at the stove cooking dinner when my husband came in and said he wanted to have an open marriage. I stopped stirring the soup I was making and turned to him. You want what? Well, we are having a bit of a rough time, and I thought if we opened the marriage to spice it back up, he said with hope in his voice. How exactly do you think that having an affair will help our marriage, Robert? I asked him. It's not an affair if you know about it, he said, trying to explain the difference. It's an open marriage. I took a couple of deep breaths before I responded. That's only if both people in the marriage agrees to it. I took a couple steps away from the stove, still holding my large mixing spoon. And I do not agree. But you never want to be intimate with me, he attempted to argue. I am completely exhausted. I am the only one taking care of our children and cleaning the house. When you come home from work, you just sit on your ass. You don't help me with anything. So I am too exhausted to maintain our intimate relationship. I help, he whined. I mow the lawn and get the work done on our cars. You mow the lawn once every 2 weeks. You take the cars to get the oil changed at an oil change place, or you take it to the mechanic to get a tune up. I took a breath and pointed at him with my spoon. That's not you getting the work done on the cars. That's you having it done by someone else. You want me to want to be intimate with you? Help me by doing the laundry or the dishes. Help the children with their homework. Give the little ones a bath or help me get everyone ready for bed. That is the help I need to feel like being with you in any way. But that's women's work, he said, pouting. Get out, I yelled. If you want to have someone to take care of you, go to your mother's house. He stomped out the back door and slammed it. After he left, I went back to stirring my soup so the children will have dinner before they have to go to bed. After I got the kids to bed, I allowed myself to break down and cry in the bedroom. On the bed, I shared with the man that told me at my dinner table that he wanted to be with someone other than me. At some point, I fell into a fitful sleep. When my alarm woke up, I did not feel at all rested. I went about my daily routine of getting the kids up and older ones ready for school. After they get on the school bus, I get the little ones fed. After I got them down for a nap, I got to cleaning up the kitchen of the breakfast mess. While I was getting dishes done, there was a knock on my door. With a sigh, I dried my hands and went to answer the door. When I opened the door, my mother-in-law was standing there. Inga, what are you doing here? I asked, moving aside to allow her to come in. I am here to apologize for Bobby. I did not raise him to be like this, she said with a sympathetic smile. We sat down in the living room and talked. I explained my side of things and how Robert was not being very understanding or helpful. He never saw how much his father helped me when he was younger, but I always told him to try and be helpful to everyone. I don't mind doing the housework and taking care of the kids because I love my family, but I need help once in a while, especially on the hard days where the kids have all had bad days or had attitudes and didn't nap. Whatever the reason, it is overwhelming, and all I want is a little bit of help when life gets too demanding, I said. I completely understand, and this is why I told my loving son to apologize to you and to start helping around the house and with the children more. Because you don't have just one child. You have 5 kids. That's a lot for one woman to handle, Inga said, patting my leg. I'm not sure if the marriage will survive this, I sighed. I understand, but I will always be here to help, even if you are no longer married to Bobby. She hugged me. Thank you. I hugged her back. You are welcome. I claimed you as my daughter the day you married Bobby. Just because Bobby is an idiot doesn't mean that you are no longer my daughter.
Why can't we get mother-in-laws like this?
They do exist.
They do exist. They're just
They're few and far between.
really hard to
Yeah,
find.
they are very hard to find.
Well, you also have a perfect cinnamon roll golden retriever as a husband. So, Chris is out here living, fairy tale unicorn life that the rest of us want, and then giving us all emotional damage with all of her short stories. You just, we love you, Trisha. You keep us on our toes. We know it exists. You are the example.
At least somebody's happy, right?
Yes, it does exist. It is out there. I just haven't found it yet. We won't talk about my first mother-in-law who is back in my life.
Yeah.
Still disturbed. Still disturbed. All right. Next up, one Cash Butler.
Okay.
With small pronunciation guide. Okay. Let me open a new window so that I can look at the pronunciation guide when I come across it. Okay. Okay. How exactly did you think that having an affair would help our marriage? The line from the soap opera on the TV drifted into his consciousness as he started going over the latest telemetry and optical data they had gathered from both Hubble and the JWST, looking for specific types of targets to point their dish toward. He turned his head to the screen, looking as the melodramatic actress was starting to cry and yell, I don't want to have a baby. That's not going to help our marriage either. He reached for the remote, changing the channel to the Weather Channel, lowering the volume so that it would be background noise. Dr. Riley Stanford looked up at the screen of his laptop, using the trackpad to make another plot on the star chart he had open for the long term listening project the research department was part of. Riley, you've got to come hear this. I don't, you just got to come hear this. John, his assistant, burst through his office door excited. Riley got out of his chair and walked around his desk, following John to his station, where he had his headphones pressed to his ears, excitedly taking notes as he listened to whatever it was that had him excited. He hoped that it wasn't another comet, like the last signal John had gotten overexcited for. Everything in existence gave off some type of radio signals, making the shifting through the different frequencies tedious and deceptive. Man, whatever this is, it's something I've never heard before. John thrust the headphones in Riley's face, almost hitting him in the face. All right, let me hear this. Riley rolled his eyes as he slid the headphones over his ears. Thump, thump. It almost sounded like a heartbeat coming through the static. Thump, 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 thump. The infrared receiver was translating the spikes from the darkness of space into an audible sound that mirrored the drumming beat in his chest. Thump, 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 thump. The tempo of the signal changed suddenly, almost causing him to jump. Riley knew this was something unique, but wanted to be very careful with what conclusions he jumped to. Thump, 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 thump. And then it started over again, going from a simple beat to a crescendo of 3 beats and starting over again. Whatever it was came from what was essentially dead space as far as he knew. John, can you get me a triangulation from a different telescope? Maybe Hawaii this time? He asked his assistant, who promptly picked up the landline and hit the speed dial button for Pan-STARRS telescope, waiting for someone to answer. Riley continued listening while the young man who had been assigned to be his assistant talked to whoever had picked up the phone, giving them the coordinates to the anonymous signal that had been picked up over half an hour before. Whatever it was he was listening to was strong and came from seemingly nowhere. After a few more minutes of discussion with Hawaii, John flipped the intercom on the phone, and the thumps echoed through the receiver as he listened at his observatory. Put out an all points email out to all the radio telescopes to vector in on the coordinates and confirm initial observation of a signal coming from the void near Libra, he asked John as he began to write the pattern down numerically, his mind wandering like a child's. This could be it, he thought to himself as he glanced over to John to make sure he didn't need any help with the message going out. Also, CC SETI on that email too. I'd like their opinion too if they feel like giving it, he added, looking at the numbers he had written down. It looked like random numbers to him. So it didn't help anything. He dismissed it and moved on. John was just hitting send on the email as he glanced over to the screen, his attention going back to the signal, which was starting to fade. Shit! He jumped from his chair down to the ground and ran to the wall of signal dishes, watching to see if one of the many dishes he had pointed towards the anomaly still had it in its radius. Thump. The silence was broken by the sound of the signal. Had they caught it mid-broadcast? Riley wondered as he ran back to his office, climbing into it, listening to the signal intently. All right, I'll put your clothes back on, but it was loose. Sorry.
Maggie May.
No, Kira.
Oh, Kira.
Got really mad when I pulled it off his neck so that I could tighten it up a little bit and started grabbing at it with his mouth. Like, no, that's my collar. Dude, chillax.
Not as bad as Maggie May when you have to take off the little bandana.
Purring up a storm. You had to interrupt Aunt Kesh's story, didn't you? I know you like science fiction. I know. But you gotta go away. I mean, he is named after a DS9 character. When I thought he was a she. Now he is he, she, it,
They.
we, they. Anyway. Had they caught it mid-broadcast? Riley wondered as he ran back to his office, climbing into it, listening to the signal intently. Thump, thump, thump. The steady rhythm continued like that for 10 minutes before the familiar rhythm he had heard previously started back up. Thump, the thump. The double rhythm started, continuing as it had before. In all, the entire series of sounds lasted just short of 40 minutes, pausing for about 2 and restarting again after the pause. Don't jump to conclusions, probably just some type of new pulsar or magnetar. He spoke out loud to himself as he examined the printout streaming from the computer he stood before. Confirmations coming from all over the world, Dr. Stanford. ESA has triangulated and states that whatever is creating it is too close to be a pulsar or any of the other usual suspects, John announced loud enough for Riley to hear him in his office. Riley raised an eyebrow as he looked over his shoulder at John. Really? He turned around and walked toward the desktop, looking at John. What do they mean by too close? He looked at his assistant, confused. Well, just read the email. He got out of the chair, allowing Riley to climb into the seat to read the email. Have any other observatories been able to confirm how close? Any triangulation happening to get a location? His mind was racing, trying to come up with everything it could be other than what he hoped it could be. Green Bank and Hawaii are locking coordinates with us, Doctor. John replied excitedly. Well? The suspense in Riley's deep voice cracking through his normally calm exterior. I'm waiting on Green Bank to call so I can link the telemetry. The phone rang, cutting the assistant off as he ran to pick up the receiver. Dr. Riley Stanford's office, he replied hurriedly, cutting off the other speaker. He nodded several times, saying yes in agreement. He reached behind his head, flipping a switch on the main receiver panel, and turned to start the signal specifics from their location to the other observatory. The same thing would be happening at Pan-STARRS telescope, allowing the mathematicians at Green Bank to punch the numbers, finding the target's distance from Earth. Confirmed. Same coordinates as the ESA. Whatever it is, whatever is making that noise, is out in the Oort cloud, somewhere beyond the orbit of Pluto. He referred to the infamous dwarf planet that orbited the outer solar system. Wait. Are you saying whatever it is in space and in our solar system? Riley tried to clarify he was hearing correctly. And according to both Green Bank and the ESA, it's moving toward the inner solar system, possibly our way, John added excitedly. Is that so? Riley scratched the stubble on the underside of his chin while looking at the readouts that continued to spew from the receiver. Ask ESA and Green Bank to email their calculations so that I can figure out how long this thing is going to take, and if it's actually heading toward us or not. He began excitedly flipping through the hard copy that was in front of him. They'll send it right over, Dr. Stanford. John hung up the receiver as the conversation he was having ended. Dr. Stanford, is it aliens? I don't know, but I got an alien substance in my mouth, probably cat hair. I just can't.
Talk about timing.
What about cat hair?
the story is it alien? And I'm sitting here going, I don't know, but I got something alien in my mouth. Probably cat hair.
That sounds about right.
I mean, it's everywhere. When you have 7 feline terrorists
I
living in
have
the house.
3 loose, one that's in a cat condo cage.
Yep.
So I completely understand.
The assistant was hesitating, verbalizing his thoughts. Don't assume little green men unless you have exhausted all other options. He cut the other man's line of thinking, even though he himself was fighting to keep his mind from running down the same path. He started trying to come up with every natural explanation it could be. My guess is that it's a highly metallized meteorite that is reflecting solar radiation or our own radio waves back at us. Pardon me. He honestly wasn't sure he even believed the theories. I hate to see the media circus this is going to cause, no matter what it is, John said, causing Riley to slump down in his computer chair, blood draining from his face at the thought of having to answer questions from reporters in front of cameras, in front of the world. Why did I want to grow up and join SETI? His head made a loud thunk as it hit the top of his desk. Do you think everyone will notice that I'm a dwarf if I'm telling them about aliens? Riley looked over his shoulder at the transmitter in the back of John. I didn't become a scientist to become the butt of a joke. His hand rested on his forehead as he began to develop a headache. Oh, there's fit to be some lit memes about it. John looked back at Riley and then back at the computer screen, looking for more coordinate confirmations. Every email coming in was confirming what that had originally been established. Whatever was in the outer solar system was traveling towards the inner solar system. Fast. You think, John? Riley looked at John, annoyed at the thought of the social media explosion this was going to be. The sound of laughter drifted up from the throng of reporters below the riser, making Riley feel very alone and self conscious. The subject of the announcement didn't help matters either. To many of those gathered, the press conference was almost a joke. Almost. When Dr. Stanford took the stage, many of the press corps that had gathered began snickering amongst themselves about his height and little green men. He brushed the comments off, favoring the shock of the announcement to quiet them down. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence has spanned decades and careers. The quest for knowledge that we are not alone in the universe being one of the most sought after discoveries through the ages. Today, that question has been answered. At approximately 0300 hours GMT, my group, using the Wide Field Array and other radio telescopes, picked up a repeating signal from an object that is gradually making its way into our solar system, with an apparent rendezvous point with Earth in about 2 or 3 years. We are hoping to get a better estimate as the object gets closer to us. This object, from everything that we can tell, is comprised mostly of metal and is broadcasting an intentional, repeated signal on the hydrogen bandwidths of the spectrum, just where we have hoped we might find a signal from other intelligent species. That being said, a special task force is now being assembled to discuss how and when we will intercept and greet our visitors from afar. Riley paused, taking a sip of his water and taking the time to start glancing at specific reporters, cameras, and other gathered faces. The task force will be comprised of members of the civilian and military communities, as well as be an international effort, being that this discovery impacts everyone on this planet. SETI and other private entities who have been aiding the search will help to continue monitoring the object until such a time as the transmission stops or we are given other reasons to cease monitoring. I will now open the floor to questions at this time. Riley closed the written statement out, throwing himself out for the jackals. The room exploded with chatter, everyone trying to talk and ask their questions all at once. One at a time, the floor director roared, and then pointed to a woman in the first row. Where are these visitors coming from, and do you believe them to be hostile? She asked. The visitors' course seems to have brought it from somewhere around the Beta Reticuli system, but seeing that it is a spaceship, it could have come from anywhere. As for the intentions they have, that is unknown at this time. He was trying to keep everything to the known facts, to try and discourage any speculation that might get people into a panic. Yes, you in the center, third row, with your hand up. Riley picked the next reporter as a sea of hands went down. What is the signal like? What leads you to believe that this is indeed an intelligent craft? The man asked. The signal is very reminiscent of Morse code in its own way. Here, let my assistant play a snippet for everyone. He pointed to John, who was ready to start the audio sample, the room going eerily silent as the sound began to fill the room. Thump, 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 thump. Handheld recorders were elevated to get better clips of the sound as John played the first 2 minutes of the signal. Once the sound ended, more hands shot back up all over the room. Yes, Yenny, what's your question? He addressed one of the handful in the room he knew by name. Thank you, Dr. Stanford. But how did you verify that the sound indeed was coming from the object in the Hubble picture behind you? Her bleached blonde bobbed hair bounced as she spoke. That's an excellent question. What we did is we triangulated the system signal with both the Green Bank Observatory and the Pan-STARRS telescope. After we confirmed on several occasions, 3 groups of other observatories and listening stations recreated and verified the triangulation, confirming that the object was the source of the transmission. He was in his element, explaining how the verification process worked. He looked around, looking for someone to ask one more question. One more question, and then we're going to have to cut for time. Yes, you in the back with the purple tie. He pointed to the man he knew as a science educated on several of the streaming platforms. Which was detected first, the object or the signal? The man asked. The object has been something Pan-STARRS has been watching for a while now as a trans system object, an object not of this system. Think Oumuamua from back in
Oumuamua.
2000. That's Moo. Okay, say it again.
Oumuamua.
From back in 2017. Then we at SETI decided to give it a listen to see what we would find. He hoped that his answer was clear enough and simple enough that most people would understand. How do we know that it's not going sorry, very tiny print on my screen. Bifocals. How do we know that it's not going to bring more visitors with it? Someone yelled from the back of the room. Riley remained quiet, caught off guard at the question. We don't, John replied for him, sending the room back into the chaotic frenzy it had been when the conference first started. Enough! Riley yelled in the microphone, trying to get all the reporters back under some semblance of control. At this time, we do not know the nature or the intentions of this visitor, but we intend to find out as quickly as we can. I have to add that it is with great caution that we say that at this time, we have no reason to believe that there are any hostile intentions behind the visitor, but we intend to proceed with the utmost caution as far as investigating it. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Riley finished and stepped down from the podium and walked to where John stood, motioning for his assistant to follow him out as about a dozen voices shot questions to the pair all at once. They shut the door behind themselves, blocking the reporters from following them out.
Yes. I don't like. Yes.
Can
I
I
need
just
to
say,
see where this is going before I can pass
can
judgment.
can can I just say that it is refreshing to have something other than romantic relationships and magic and mystical whatever. I mean, there is a place for it. There is a place for it. But it wasn't here. And that makes my geeky little sci-fi heart happy. Yeah, I gotta know. Little green men. Little green men.
Well, it makes me wonder because a lot of the little things that pop up like when you're scrolling TikTok and uh like little shorts and stuff like that uh have like little sci-fi twists every now and again. And it makes me wonder which way this is going to go. Like, is this a fleeing, trying to find a better world kind of thing, or do we have a battleship level
Are
fuck up on our hands?
are we looking at 2012 where something's going to crash into the planet and only a select few are able to get out? Are we looking at the one where Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence are on a generation ship getting far away? Or are we looking at Flight of the Navigator? Are we looking at Star Trek? They oh,
There's just so many ways this could go, and the whole thing is a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the stories that I listen to over when I'm scrolling TikTok, and it's very much the, Earth has got this battlefield, and nobody uh nobody expects them, but nobody fucks with us at the same time. um so there's this level of, where is this going to go, what's going to happen. Are there little green men, are they shapeshifters, are they even humanoids at all? Or does this double back to the original prompt that we had that started this whole journey of Hold My Pen Promptcast?
I don't even know what that is.
On
No,
New Year's Eve, an alien breaks into a prison. That was the very first prompt that started off the Hold My Pen Promptcast.
Text me that one.
I will. Definitely.
That's how I ended up getting an upright golden retriever named Charlie Bone, who's captain of the ship. And the thing is that he's not a traditional golden retriever in that he's not happy go lucky. He's an ass.
I don't know. I've met some mean golden retrievers.
I mean, yes, but golden retriever in the book world is like a good thing when a character is a golden retriever. And so quite a few people are upset with me that I've made Charlie an ass. But it is what it is. And of course, now we have Through Diamond Eyes.
Now,
Something
mind you,
new. Julie
I'm just
Fisher.
giving you a little preface on this one. When you get down to the three little blue, like scene break, that's where the prompt cuts off. But if you
I
want to
know.
go, okay,
You put that in there. The
okay, well,
star in blue is the stop.
yeah. If you want to go past that, that's cool. But I'm pretty sure because of the time and everything like that, it's fine.
Almost like you don't think I can read.
No, I forgot I put it in there.
Okay.
That was amazing.
So it was more for Julie than Izzy. Is that what's going
There
on?
we go. Yes. Yes. All right. So this one has a little title. Yes, Through Diamond Eyes, but this says Knowing Your Place. Moonlight cascaded down on a clearing she knew couldn't possibly exist. Her bare feet standing on soft, damp moss, looking out from the lush tree line. as she scanned for what she was supposed to see, but didn't. A talent of Brie Allen's was simply the ability to tell when she was dreaming, and as she had been taught to look for the signs that brought her there. Forest wasn't absence of light, though the darkness that hid the shadows of every small thing felt somehow heavier, thick, and had a life of its own, as if it was breathing in time with the shallow breeze that barely moved the leaves. The trees were too tall, too still, and the moon above hung too low, bleeding silver through the branches. Bree moved a step closer to get a better look at what could have possibly brought her here, when the wind shifted and the ground beneath her feet became frost covered. Her feet crunched over frozen earth, and every step echoed like thunder in a church. She wasn't wearing a jacket, but she wasn't cold. The icy wind didn't seem to be biting at her exposed skin, or it was the intense heat that began radiating from her core that didn't allow her to notice it. The hair on the back of her neck stood as she placed herself one step outside the tree line, allowing herself to be bathed in the shimmering moonlight. She could feel something or someone watching her, not the eyes of a predator, even though that would be on brand for why she had appeared here. No, this was worse. It was expectation of her surrender, without her kicking up a fuss or putting up a fight. Whoever or whatever was stalking her from the shadows, Bree hoped they knew she wouldn't go quietly. She turned, searching the trees with her back to the meadow. The silence rang loud in her ears as all the sounds of the night fell away. Then she saw them. Eyes, not glowing, not bright, but deep like liquid steel with the weight of 100 secrets. A brood, a broad, muscular shape leaned against a tree, tall and still, the outline of a man, or something resembling one. She opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out. That wasn't unheard of in her dreams, but it certainly was rare. He stepped forward, and in that moment, all the sound came rushing back, assaulting her senses, as if her dreamscape had finally released the breath it was holding, unmuting everything. She felt the entire forest breathe. "You keep running," he said, voice like velvet over gravel, "but you always end up here." She tried to back away, but her legs wouldn't move. The trees stood like armored guards around her, whispering things in a language she didn't know but somehow understood in her soul. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, arms crossed, chest puffed out in defiance. He only smiled, amused by the accusation he wanted something from her. "I'm not the one who came looking, Brie Allen." Her breath caught. He shouldn't know her name. They never knew her name, but he did. Stepping just close enough to touch, his fingers lightly dragged down her arm before he was gone, leaving a burning sensation in his wake. As she tried to gain her bearings of the event that had just occurred, the trees vanished. The meadow was gone. All that was left was the silvery moonlight, and Bree standing barefoot on a stretch of desert road, headlights coming fast. Bree woke with a jolt. Her eyes snapped open, chest tight, mouth dry, gasping for breath. The dream evaporated like smoke, but the feeling it left behind lingered. Something hollow and uneasy. She took it for what it was, a warning. Dragging a hand down her face, Bree sat up on the couch, blinking into the gray morning light bleeding through the window. "Just a dream. It's just a dream, baby girl," she could hear her mother say. Only it wasn't. Not this time. She'd never seen that man before, but something in her bones swore she had. Either way, if they ever crossed paths, she'd know him the second he walked into a room. The sun glared off the shop's asphalt, front windows, and every piece of chrome like it had a personal vendetta. Inside, the air buzzed with the grind of tools, the occasional hiss of compressed air, and Bree's biting mood. She had been broody and sharp-tongued all morning. Her mind might have been constantly drifting off to somewhere else, but her comebacks and quick wit stayed firmly planted. Unfortunately, Colt bore the brunt of her fury. She tried brushing him off when the playful banter started about the grease stain on her neck, but she snapped back like a steel trap with a hair trigger. Even the other mechanics treaded lightly, glancing her way only when they had to. No one really made eye contact for fear of being her next target. She wasn't just edgy, a volcano ready to erupt at the first sign of pressure. Then came West, a new hotshot rookie that had only been working in the shop for a few months. He came in hot around lunch, full of some bravado fueled energy. She met it with the kind of scathing one liner that would have melted glass. A brief standoff followed, with West putting his foot in his mouth, damn near up to his knee. Why don't you get some D and stop making it our problem? West glared as Bree stood there debating on whether or not she had time to get rid of his body before the end of the shift. A charged silence, with Colt trying to break the tension before someone ended up with the business end of an impact upside their head. Easy, West. Bree's got more torque in her pinky than you've got in your whole damn bloodline. Don't make her prove it with your nuts as the test bolts.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Colt raised his brows, slow and cocky, as West bowed up. I mean, unless you want your teeth rearranged, in which case I got a torque wrench right here. A few of the guys nearby paused what they were doing, half waiting for the explosion, half betting on how many teeth West would lose if he so much as breathed wrong. Bree didn't say a word. The look she gave West was pure death wrapped in sleeveless coveralls. For the first time in a long time, she was letting Colt handle it. Mainly for the simple fact West looked like the type that would call the law if he lost in a fight to a woman, especially if that woman was his boss. She'd be having words with Carter later about hiring soft-handed loudmouths with family connections. She was done babysitting toddlers in mechanics' clothing. West muttered something about Carter, rolled his shoulders like he still had a leg to stand on, and stalked off toward the back bay. Colt smirked, tugged his gloves back on. That's what I thought, Princess. Everyone chose right then and there to find something very interesting on their projects to look at. None dared to make eye contact or so much clear their throats until Bree turned on her heel and walked toward her bay. As soon as her back was turned, the clanging of metal echoed the shop back to life. Conversations resuming in hushed tones like a storm had just been avoided rather than passed. The damage was already done to her mood, but this was the cherry on Sunday. Colt was hot on her heels, whistling low under his breath like nothing had happened. It was his way of keeping things level. God knew someone had to. Carter surely wasn't going to come out of his air-conditioned office to break it up unless blood got spilled. Typically, Colt tried to avoid that, but sometimes he couldn't keep a hold on his sister. Back at her bay, Bree dropped the rag she'd been absently wringing her hand in onto her tool cart and leaned over the open hood of the 71 Chevelle in front of her. This job was only supposed to have taken her 3 days to complete. But after replacing both the rear end and the transmission, this bucket of bolts had been on her lift for nearly a week and a half. Her focus returned mechanical, methodical, but most of all familiar. As the low hum of work pulled her back in, Colt had noticed the edge in her jaw hadn't gone anywhere. She was elbow deep in a rebuilt engine when she felt it. That shift in atmosphere. The not so subtle electric wrongness that told her Lucian Devereaux had driven onto the property. The tension, already thick, sharpened with the purr of Lucian's custom black coupe, cut through the shop's hum. Clean cut as always, in a tailored dark suit, he stepped inside the bays instead of the office. Colt's voice took on that eerie high pitch like the kid from Poltergeist calling out, "He's here." A quick practice scan of the shop floor, a nod to one of the mechanics, and then his gaze landed on her. Bree didn't look up right away. She didn't have to, but she felt him. That slow, assessing weight he always carried. It didn't help that she had been avoiding him and his family for months. When she refused to acknowledge her father, he walked over, getting into her space. Bree Allen, he said coolly, arms crossed, tone unreadable. Lucian. She didn't bother glancing up from the engine she was working on. Bree Allen, I need a word with you. Busy. Some of us have to do actual work around here. Bree fired the first shot, never looking up to meet his eyes. Take a break. We need to talk. Make it quick. She exhaled sharply through her nose, set down her tools, and peeled off her gloves. Colt lingered, leaning by the parts cart, but Lucian gave him a sideways glance. Give us a minute, son. Colt hesitated, looking between the two. You sure? Go, Bree muttered. It's fine. When he was gone, Lucian stepped closer, eyes scanning the shop like he was counting things she hadn't cataloged. I'm heading out this afternoon. Family trip. Be gone a couple of days, maybe a week. Bree arched a brow, lips twitching with something close to a sneer. Family trip, huh? He ignored the jab. Carter is coming with me. That leaves the shop in your hands. I want you to keep things smooth while I'm gone. I know you can handle it. Her arms folded. That's supposed to be a compliment or a test? And why say it like I don't? A pause, a cold, calculated second before Lucian switched tactics. Because you haven't exactly made yourself available lately or easy to deal with. If you had come to dinner as you were requested to do by your mother, Bree's eyes went sharp. Stepmother, not my mother. My mother is sitting on a shelf between a pile of books and a bottle of Jack. Lucian looked at her for a long moment, ignoring the blatant disrespect. While we are gone, I expect more than just engines getting tuned. We've got clients with expectations, and I don't want to hear about any drama. She laughed, one sharp, humorless sound. You mean you don't want me to make waves? I mean, he said, voice sharpening, that it wouldn't kill you to act more like a Devereaux, like a daughter. Show some respect. She tossed the rag aside and straightened. Respect is earned, not given. The only time you acknowledge me is when you need something, or to remind me of what I'm not. Lucian's jaw ticked. This again? No, father, she said, stepping around him. This still. You want the obedient princess, Lucian. You should have made sure you married someone who could raise her to be one. As it stands, Athena did a hell of a job raising at least one that has no problems going toe to toe. His jaw ticked at the mention of his ex-wife. Bree stepped into his space, not backing down. She wasn't finished. I'm not Savannah. I'm not some powder puffed shadow you can parade around at dinner parties. And I am certainly not Emmy, Miss Pretty Princess Southern Belle. I'm the reason this place still pays your bills, and the reason this shop moves over $1 million every quarter. That mouth of yours, he warned, is the only thing in this family that doesn't lie. Lucian's face darkened, but she twisted the knife anyway. Enjoy your little getaway. Don't forget to pack your wedding ring this time. You know, unlike all those years before Mom finally had enough. By the way, how exactly did you think that having multiple affairs would help your marriage and benefit your children? She didn't wait for his response. She turned, snatched her jacket from the hook by the office, and walked out, boots echoing with the weight of every bitter year she never got to speak. Be careful, Bree Allen, he said to her back, watching her walk away. You're too much like your mother. For a heartbeat, he almost reached out to stop her. He didn't, though. Like always, he let her walk away.
Emotional damage.
Ma'am,
5 days. She's going to say 5 days.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
We have already discussed this. ad nauseum. But I swear to God, you start making me cry every time I read one of these out, we gonna have words. I love you.
But that was a good mic drop moment.
It was a good mic drop moment. But the thing that got me was between the pile of books and a bottle of Jack.
Yep.
I happen to know there is not a bottle of Jack on that shelf.
No, but there is a pile of books.
There is a pile of books.
But that also circled back to one of the old prompts of we don't talk about the bottle of Jack.
We don't talk about the bottle of Jack on my fridge.
Right.
Or the one in my fridge, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless America, and I still got one more to read real quick.
And it's Dahlia's.
It is Dahlia's! French toast.
And she's not even here. Or she's being very, very quiet.
No, she had to work tonight.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we can yell at her later and in her absence. That's
or just throw up the French toasts in the cord.
Yep. Okay, and this document, I'm not sure if this has I mean, because today is June 7th. I'm not sure if that has something to do with the story or if she just labeled it June 7th because that's the date it was due, but we're gonna take a look here. Oh, I already don't like it with the first 3 words.
Oh, no, there she is, right there.
Hey, we got Dahlia. We got Dahlia. We got Dahlia.
She's like, no, it's just the due date.
Okay. Okay, great. Back, save. There we go. You know what? I've after all these weeks, you'd think I would have already turned off the 10 o'clock and the midnight alarms on my phone. And yeah, so I finally did it. For
That
Saturdays.
requires remember something.
For Saturdays only. Okay. Oh, she's trying to pull a Trisha. Few words.
Yeah. This is literally the shortest prompt of the night.
Come find me, the voice in the desert echoed. Looking from one side to the other, I could not see anyone for miles. No place to hide, yet the feeling of being watched and taunting made the hairs on the back of my neck tingle as the voice echoed from every direction. Where am I? I yelled. Remember me, they replied. That's not an answer, I grunted in annoyance. Oh, Lord, why is this desert so cold? Aren't they supposed to be hot? I think as my walking speed slows and I become colder as the sun sets, ignoring the voice that's calling for me to find them and the other voices laughing as they mock me. Did I die or something? This place can't be real. My phone starts ringing. Pulling it out of my pocket, I see a number with all zeros calling. Staring at the top of the screen, I blink many times as I notice there is no service. No fucking way this is real. Definitely dead. Or dreaming. I repeat in my head. Yes, definitely a dream. Has to be. Probably lucid dreaming. Heard about that from where did I learn that from? I think as I try to remember my life before this place. Who the fuck am I? She can't even remember where she came from, the voices cackled.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of the story?
That be it for the week. And don't he us. Ma'am.
She did this on purpose.
Like
Yeah, that's one way to end the night.
here's the thing. Trisha hits us all in all the right feels, right? Trisha just in all the right feels. We always know that it's going to make us feel things and believe in the goodness of people inherently. Just Patrick makes us cry and cheer for goofy doofus boys. Dahlia has already got us trained. She's already got us trained. That I'm scared where this is going to go. Somebody's going to lose a hand.
Or an eye.
Or an eye. Or be turned into liquid pancake.
There's no telling. None.
All right. So, with that, as a special reminder, I'm so traumatized. As a special reminder, we are picking the prompt that you folks have two weeks to write. And that being said, the sooner you get it in, the guarantee that
one
you
show or
will
the
be
other.
on Saturday. The later you get it in, more likely you will be on Sunday. We will also be going an hour early the Sunday after we get back. It's all in the email. It's all in the newsletter. So make sure you go to the link, go to the bio, go to the link, sign up for the newsletter, and the schedule, the upcoming June live schedule with times, dates, all the stuff, and the weekly writing prompt is in there.
Also, reminder to please go over to the Discord, YouTube. If you're just watching from afar, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything to join us.
Yep.
And
Subscribe
here
for terminology. Following us here is like subscribing on YouTube or following on TikTok, right? It doesn't cost you anything. You're just getting notified when we go live. You can adjust for just certain alerts, not all. It doesn't cost you anything. However, there have been some changes to Twitch affiliate program. Y'all, we are a hell of a lot closer to being able to go onto the affiliate program than we originally thought. And basically, what that's going to do is allow, us to get subscription based things and earn money from this. And all of that money does intend to go back into the newsletter payment and things like that. So, literally one Twitch follower away.
Yes. We are one away, and also, if you know anybody who just doesn't have anything going on Saturday nights and wants to come hear our wackiness, send them on over. We are an equal opportunity, run amok. Okay, but without further ado, because we do have other things going on, here comes the shaky shakes. See how much the dice are going to betray us tonight. Oh, dear Jesus. 19.
Could be any 19?
19.
Oh, it would help if I move the right mouse.
Yes.
Look, I got 2 laptops here, 2 mice, 2 monitors, technically 3 keyboards.
And a partridge in a pear
In a
tree.
pear tree.
Or at least one cat running around. Soon to be in a pear tree.
Okay. This is literally one that Julie and I tagged back in January that we would review it
Never
to
went
see if
back.
we wanted to keep it next year. So it is an option. It is an option. In 2025, a corporation offers immortality for the price of one's memories. A character must decide whether to take the deal.
Okay. $38.
So 138 concept. Wrong here. Write about a character who finds an old photo of themselves from a time they don't remember. What happens when they investigate the missing time?
Oh, that'll play into my story.
Starting first lines.
$75. At least the dice are all over the place tonight. It's not just, clustered.
The keys were in my hand, but I wasn't sure I wanted to unlock the door.
Oh, damn.
That's the other side of that one we had a few months ago. His key's in the lock.
Mm-hmm. We got a lot of good ones.
Ugh.
66.
Ooh. That barely made the cut.
That was almost a reroll.
That was almost a reroll by 1. If it had been 67, it would have been a reroll. The stars were out, but I couldn't shake the feeling we weren't alone.
I think I already wrote that tonight.
I mean. All right. Now, next, let's see which choices the audience is actually going to choose from because they almost always choose dialogue.
All right.
That was only
41.
3? Oh, okay. We're not done.
I'm sorry.
I said we're not done. I'm sorry.
We're not done. We're not done. What was that number, Julie?
41.
41.
We're not done. 41.
Use this dialogue. Don't say I never did anything for you.
Oh. I see Patrick doing a mean girl one with that.
I know.
Okay. 96.
What's that look?
Yeah.
You don't think that was just lemonade in your glass, do you?
Okay. Okay. Hold the fucking phone here. Okay. I'm going to enact something right now. Right now. And you guys can kill me later. We're not voting. We're not voting.
Why are we not voting?
You want to know why we're not voting? Thank you for asking why we're not voting.
Because she knows what they're going to choose.
I already know. So, in the process, I am enacting the one thing that we do at least a couple of times a year. I want you to take as many of these and put them together.
I mean, you do have 2 weeks.
Exactly. You've got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to hand this in. So get your little thinking caps on, brew you a pot of coffee or tea or your beverage of choice. And I want you to sit down, let the mind wander. No, we're not voting because I am in charge of Patrick's vote tonight, and I'm gonna make it hell on him. So as many as you can stick into, all of them, as many as you can stick in. If you can only do one, then do one. But as many as you can stick in.
Okay. So I'm going to stick them over here so you can take a look. All right. There's those. And of course, these will also be in the Discord. There is the special the special thread underneath writing prompts. It's called 2025 season 2. They will also be in the newsletter. You will also see the they are also on our website, which you can get to from our beacons link, and they will also be in the newsletter and the now, please keep in mind, Patrick, Julie, Kesh, and myself will be at a bit of a disadvantage because we will be in Green Bay for 5 days working the event, right? So, you guys have 14 days. We have 9. Right?
And that's
Something
if
like
and
that.
that's if I don't break out the handy dandy notebook.
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. There will be writing implements of destruction. You know, our handy dandy writers toolkits.
Right.
Oh Jesus.
And we have a lot coming for Hold My Pen Promptcast in the next little bit. We're running a lot of different ideas together. Instrument. Yes, if you've never seen one of my notebooks, it's an instrument of destruction.
He's seen the inside of my brain. It's an implement of destruction. God help it if it's got a pen or a pencil attached to the appendage.
Or, voice recording.
Yeah. We won't talk about video.
Right. But yeah, that's where we're gonna go with that. We've got a lot going on. We've got a lot coming up. There is now a Bible, not just for the 4 Queens for 4 Kings. There is an actual Bible for the Hold My Pen Promptcast.
Brought to you by Archer and Olive and the obsession I have with notebooks. all of our ideas. Just Julie and I will be spitting things off. Kesh will say something. Shar will say something. Patrick will say something. Dahlia would put something in the side chat. And just, ideas for what we want to do for at cons when we go to book cons, author events, things that we want to bring into the program for you.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to go a little weird there.
But we have been on for almost 2.5 hours, and it is currently 11:30 y'all's time, 10:30 my time, and we're gonna go ahead and drop for the night. Thank you guys all for being here, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. So, light your candles, say your prayers, get to crack-a-lackin', and I expect something great out of each and every one of you.
It has
Remember, be brave, be bold, but always stay humble. And we will catch you guys again next week, or in 2 weeks.
We can't look away. Watch new episodes of Your Money unfold every day.
Sorry, that shush.